when we saw him take the picture at the little picnic or whatever, the party that they were having.
Okay.
And he takes the picture the first time.
Oh, right.
That's when his friend, or when that guy says, "Get out," it's yelling at him. It's like that one moment where he's able to warn him, like, get out while you can.
Get out, exactly. Yeah, that's true.
Unless he could be talking about the other person who's inhabiting his body too, telling that person to get out of his body.
Right, it could be many things, but
it's a bunch of stuff going on here. And can we talk about the mother?
No.
Missy Armitage. Catherine Keener is terrifying. She's in anything I have ever seen her in. I'm
4-year-old virgin. She was at her scariest.
Oh, she's very off-putting to me. I just cannot.
Really?
I can't watch her and not be tense.
Really? You didn't 4-year-old virgin? I was just kidding, but
no, yeah. 4-year-old virgin. I thought he could have done much better.
I found her attractive in 4-year-old virgin.
It's the way she speaks. Like, I'm not talking about her physical appearance so much as just her attitude.
You're so shallow.
Hippie attitude, and the way that she speaks so slow and calm. It's very disconcerting to me, and I don't appreciate it, and I don't like it, and I think that right away. If I walked into this white folks' home and then it was her trying to, rub that spoon around the dish.
Oh man, yeah.
I'm just off put by it completely. I wouldn't want to be there anymore.
Yeah, it's but I don't know. I feel like there was no escape on this one. This was
well, he had chances to leave.
He had chances, but I feel like all the chances I don't think anybody would capitalize on those chances. It was realistic enough. That's what I liked about this film
That's true.
too.
It was realistic because most of that time you think you're just crazy.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and I agree. I feel like this was like, how we kept saying with Don't Breathe was like, whenever they thought they had a chance to get out and it didn't happen for a good reason. And if you feel like films lack that often, you're like, you could have just easily left. You could have just done this. And what brings you back? Okay, some stupid emotion or whatever it is, or at least something that's a little hard to believe, but you suspended for a little bit. But for Get Out, it's like, okay, well, the time that he asked he had to leave, he had to make sure his girlfriend was on board, which she felt like she sold that she was, and and that's the thing. I feel like that aspect of the film was driven, beautifully. It was perfect.
Yeah, I found that to be terrifying though. And when he went to, what was the place he went when he sunk in? He was the sunken place.
Yeah, what did they call it? Or
is that what they called it? The sunken place?
Yeah, something like that. For what I recall, I think you have a better recollection of what it was called.
Let's call it that.
Let's call it that.
But like, that was terrifying because that's like paralysis, just being paralyzed in your own body. And then what would be worse? Would it be worse if you had to become a vegetable and you were paralyzed, like lying in your own body? Would you rather somebody else able to control you and move around and be you while you had to sit and watch?
Oh boy, I don't know.
Or would you? At least you can live some kind of a life.
They wouldn't be like watching the right films, listening to the right music, being with the right people.
You'd be very particular, I imagine. But the cop at the beginning now.
Yeah. There was nothing there.
I don't find. What do you mean there was nothing there?
I liked how the interaction with the cop had basically it was something that built up to what was going to lead to it, but there was really nothing there, and it was just the girlfriend making out something for her to be believable.
That's it. I didn't like it. I liked it. Weird because it seemed like if anything, the cop would have been in on this because it seemed like the whole town was in on it.
No,
but maybe this cop, I don't know what his jurisdiction was. Maybe
I don't think so.
I can't assume this cop has anything to do with with what's going on with the Armitage family. But I did find it really annoying how Rose stood up for Chris.
Right.
Where Chris was very willing to show him the ID, and it's like, yeah, okay, maybe he's not legally supposed to ask, or he doesn't have to provide his ID since he wasn't the one driving.
Right.
But they hit a deer. They're out there. He doesn't seem overtly racist to him. They played it up like, this is a racist cop.
Right.
I don't know, the rules exactly, but I found that she just overstepped her bounds.
She did. I felt like she did.
Into something much worse than it was. And I'm not saying that he should have just given his ID over, but it didn't seem like it was at that point where it had to be escalated so high and so quickly.
That's what's so clever about it, right? And I feel like because the thing is, unfortunately, I cannot put myself in the same place as the way black people could be interacted with local policemen. And I don't feel like it's like that everywhere, but there is definite tension there. I always felt like if a policeman needs to make a statement, he needs to know everybody that was there and get as much of his information as possible. And it's happened to me as a kid too. Like, not me, and I'm not black, obviously, but when I was in,
why is that obvious, Dave?
because you could just hear me. People could just hear me. So it's just that when I was like younger and I got in trouble with the cop, whatever it is, he took down my ID, and I wasn't even involved in it. But like the thing is, the incident, I was near it. I spoke. So therefore, when you give a statement, you have to give the ID. Now, the tension down south, or sometimes even around Canada as well too, it could happen as well. Though largely down like in the States, it has been a growing tension with police open firing on innocent citizens who happen to be black as well. I feel like they're obviously playing that tension into this situation here, and obviously Chris was happily to give up his ID. It's like, fine, yeah, I get it, whatever it is. But she decides to be like, no, I'm white and I could say something. If she was black and would have done the same thing, that would have probably caused more. It would have been more. Maybe it could have been more cost for the cop for him to take more necessary actions. Who knows? Yeah. Right? Maybe.
Yeah. I mean, I haven't had bad experiences with cops, so I don't know. Maybe if you have, maybe if you are black and you're used to this sort of thing, then it's more of an issue, or you reluctantly hand over your information. But
you're just hitting a deer in the end.
Out of the three people, I felt like Rose was the most annoying.
Yeah, that's perfect. That's what she had to be. She had to prove to herself that if anything happens this weekend, she is the person that she's the person he could turn to. Exactly.
So,
but focus on the deer that they hit.
Yeah.
So they hit a deer. And I feel like, I don't know if it was entirely necessary, because I feel like it was only necessary in two different parts of this film.
Okay.
So they hit this deer, and they go check, and Chris really goes and check on it. Really gets close to it, gets checked, and it gets very tense, very, very tense. He sees, and like usually, normally when something like, I feel like I've seen this technique used before. In most recent example, the film Invitation, for those who have seen it. The film starts off with, this couple going to a party, and they hit a deer as well. They don't make much more of it. They hit a deer. He clears it off the road, puts it on the side of the road, and they continue on to the party. And they're just basically this technique to foreshadow, things, like a negative thing could be coming up. It's foreshadowing something that, something wrong is about to happen soon, very, very soon. It's gonna be on its way. So it's, it's kind of like seeing, a black cat crossing the road in that regard. It's almost the same thing. Here, I didn't find it entirely necessary. Maybe they had to get pulled over by the cop. I think, and I feel like it would have been too tropey if they would have just because the cop pulled them over for what maybe speeding or something, and then would have been more of a racial tension situation. But maybe Peele here decided to say that would have been too tropey for a racial film. It's predictable. It's been done before.
Yeah.
So they use this deer thing, and then it comes back when the father says, "Oh, I hate deer. Oh, you should have killed every single one of them." Whatever. All of a sudden, he has this thing against deers, and
that was weird.
That was a weird, and that was there for that, or then later on in the end when he kills the father with the antlers of the deer, of the taxidermy.
Oh yeah, that was pretty good.
Yeah,
the deers end up killing him.
Yeah, so I'm like, was it just for that? Which is not that bad. It's fine, but
or were deer like an analogy for African Americans? Is he maybe racist? I mean, he doesn't seem racist, although
he voted for Obama.
Yeah, but what are your alternatives?
Yeah, it's quite the political statement.
He did say how Jesse Owens beat his grandfather in a race.
That's true. Yeah,
and he might have he probably had some built up aggression towards that. And his father, he joked about how he's like, yeah, my father almost got over it. We find out later in the films, I guess his father didn't get over it,
right?
Because this procedure, which seems like it could have been done on anybody, is now he's targeting black people, young black men.
Could that explain why he was running at night then?
Oh, I guess it explains why he was running.
We solve our own
mysteries because he's very keen on running and racing. At night, I'm not sure why.
It's the only time nobody would see him. I don't know.
I guess he just needs to run.
He needs to run. He likes his body. His body's it's like a linebacker who could run very fast in the NFL. It's I don't know.
So I guess they were just putting on a show for these guests while they were there, right? I mean, they're not always doing the yard work and serving.
That's right.
Yeah. So I wonder what the dynamic is like when there's nobody around.
Well, he could be a senile old man and just be running around.
Well, yeah, I guess his mind is put into a young person's body, but like, doesn't the mind deteriorate?
Yeah, exactly. So I guess like if he's just if his mind's going his age, but his body's still around, maybe that makes sense for him to run at night. So
maybe he's just crazy.
Exactly. So as much as I thought that was a cheap scare and I called him out on it, maybe it's not so cheap after all.
Yeah. If anything, I would have said that them hitting a deer was the cheap scare.
It was, but then it still led to something.
But it led to something, yeah.
So imagine, how rare is it to see a film that, like, the last film we saw, Split, this year, was a film that we could easily say that, as well as Get Out here, like, the details mattered, and details go a long way in a horror film, and everything counts, and it should be counted when you want a good horror film.
Yeah.
Unlike Bye Bye Man, who were...
Nothing good about that.
Nothing good about that. What else did we watch this year? It was Bye Bye Man. There was, Rings.
Yeah.
That junk.
Resident Evil.
Yeah. Well, that's on another scale, but yeah.
But this film did something that I was really skeptical about.
Which was?
Mixing horror and comedy. And
right.
I normally hate that because it's like either go for horror, and if you're going to be a horror comedy, I'm probably not going to like it because...
So dark comedies are not your thing?
Dark comedies are different than horror.
That's true.
Like dark comedy,
what
is it? Little Miss Sunshine was a dark comedy. That's not.
What if really the more obvious, the more
Very
physical
Bad
attributes?
Things. Was,
okay. What about like something like
dark comedy too? But that's more of a horror film. That is a comedy. See, like that, I feel like did it okay. But
which film you said? Sorry.
Very Bad Things.
Oh, okay, yeah.
It's like a bachelor party. Everybody.
Right. Yeah.
They accidentally kill a hooker, and then
yeah.
Christian Slater wants to kill everybody off so that he doesn't get in trouble.
Or
everyone's
Heathers.
kind of killing each other.
Or
Heathers.
Yeah.
Jawbreaker.
Right, yeah. Man, they don't make films like that anymore.
They don't.
Hate that. But anyway, so back on...
So this one did it really well because it wasn't too comedic that it took away from the horror, and it wasn't too horrifying to put people off of it who came to see... Because a lot of people came to see it not for a horror movie, but just for a good time at the theater. They heard it got good reviews.
Right. Wasn't it more like a vintage Sam Raimi?
Sam Raimi's a little too
quirky, but it works.
Yeah, he's got the whole Three Stooges thing going on. And
yeah.
Every time you watch one of his movies, it's like, I'm not a fan. I was a fan when I was younger.
Yeah.
I like his camera work, his style,
yeah.
but his comedy I don't like.
Drag Me to Hell. I mean,
I
know you hate it. I know you hate it. I want to bring it up just for fun because I felt like it was a good throwback to what he used to do in a long time because we hated Spider-Man 3 and I don't know, he hasn't done anything. He hasn't done too much ever since even since Drag Me to Hell. Sorry,
he did the new Oz movie.
Oh, that was you're not gonna like that's the worst part. If you're gonna take what he's done lately and you're gonna say Oz is like something is something that he's worked on and that can you really see you could see his style implemented in this, but like a story that's pretty much stale.
Yeah, I mean, he didn't write Oz, but he directed it, and there were certain things he did with the direction of it that were...
Spider-Man?
Reminiscent of, like, Evil Dead 2.
Evil Dead 2, Spider-Man, yeah, big time.
But...
Darkman, remember the Darkman trilogy?
Never saw it.
It's hilarious.
Yeah, one day.
You should watch it. It's hilarious. Just the first one, actually. That's the only one Sam Raimi directed.
Yeah, that's the only one I'll check out there.
Good call.
So what do you want to talk about now? I mean, there's definitely some other things to talk about.
Yeah.
There's, Stephen Root's character... the blind man who
I call him Bill.
Bill works. Jim Hudson in this film, and then we also have Rod Williams playing Little Rel Howery or something. He was the where did he work? He worked at his friend.
Yeah,
Chris's friend. Where did he work at?
He worked at the airport.
Yeah. What was the
TSA?
TSA, yeah. Okay.
It was a TSA.
So he was
TSA,
a TSA
motherfucker.
Yeah. He was a pretty good... He was, if anything, at the beginning, I was most worried about him because he was the one bringing in comedy that I didn't feel fit in with this movie.
Right.
It was the kind of comedy that I just was like, I was very off-put by.
Yeah.
So it wasn't within the same tone.
Right.
But it paid off pretty big.
Yeah, because he takes us away from everything.
Yeah.
Takes us away, and you get his perspective, and, you see how he has his own skills on figuring out what happened. Even though when you think about it, all it led to is to finding out where he was. We don't really see what happened, how he led to where he was.
No, yeah, I mean, we'll talk about that because I don't think there's any scenario where this ends well for Chris and
Right.
and little Rel. No, his name is Rod.